Next up is going to, I think, the offensive side of the ball actually is interesting because the other two positions, the tight ends and the offensive line, are actually, I don't think there's a lot of much of a position battle to be had here. Tight end is kind of similar to the running back in that you've got Ben Bramer and Gabe Burkle. You know you've got those two. They're both very good. Ben Bramer needs to stay healthy. Had too many injury problems in his young career so far. But if he can stay healthy, he is a fringe Mackey Award kind of guy. If you can have those two on the field, a lot of plays, you can cause a lot of matchup problems for a lot of defenses. Beyond that, you have some really interesting names. You've got I would say the next guy as far as pass catchers go, that I'm really excited to see is Cooper Alexander, who was a big recruiting win for Iowa State out of the state of Oklahoma, where they beat out the Sooners to secure Cooper Alexander for the class. We'll see. He was a really good pass catcher in high school. We will see what they do with him. And then you've got Tyler Moore figures into that mix as well. It seems to me like he's kind of become the heir apparent in that kind of H-back, F-back type role where we've seen like Dylan Sainer and Sam Seenbuckner in the past. And then last year, or the last few years, seen a couple of different guys, but it's I really think gosh, last year I can't for the life of me. I don't know why for the life of me I cannot remember the F-back's name. I'm not sure why. I'm completely blanking on it right now. Come up with it. Steve Klotz. I don't know why I couldn't think of Steve Klotz. It's embarrassing for me as the Iowa State guy, but here we are. Steve-O was the H-back the last couple of years, kind of your blocking tight end / fullback guy that they sometimes leak out for passes. Seems like Tyler Moore is starting to kind of work his way into the role, the heir apparent of that position. So I think with the tight end spot, I do believe that at some point we're going to see 13 personnel. You're going to see 3 tight ends on the field. I'm fairly confident of that you will see 3 tight ends on the field at some point. You're never going to see less than one. You're never going to see less than one. You're never going to see a set with 0 tight ends. My guess is the average for Iowa State for tight ends on the field at any point in time is like 1.8 probably. I think you're going to see a whole lot of 12 personnel. And for that reason, maybe the third receiver is not quite as important as maybe we might think it would be, because it is listed as a starting position on the depth chart. But at any one point in time, you're going to have at least 1 tight end, maybe 2, sometimes occasionally 3, where your third receiver is Ben Bramer. It's not Brad Eskison, Dominic Overby, or Carson Brown, or whoever. It is Ben Bramer, or it's Gabe Burkle. So I would say the tight end, the depth in the tight end room gives you tons and tons of flexibility with your schemes and your alignments and your route patterns, that you can do a lot of really, really fun things. And I think Iowa State is particularly excited to reestablish its dominance in the tight end room, especially if Ben Bramer can stay healthy. On the offensive line is the room I think we all agree on the offense that needs to take the biggest step forward. They were like okay last year, but they weren't great. They had they unfortunately also dealt with injuries. Dylan Barrett goes down. Jalen Travis doesn't actually play the first few games. Turns out to be very good, but doesn't play the first few games. Dylan Barrett starts really well and then gets hurt. You've got a few other guys that are hurt along the way. It seems to me as though you've got your probably top 6 guys, roughly. Like right now, my projected starting 5 would be James Neal at left tackle, Dylan Barrett at left guard, Brendan Black at center, either Jim Boniface or Trevor Burr at right guard, Tyler Miller at right tackle. I think those are your first 6, and I think you've got positions lined out for them pretty well. The entire question is not necessarily who's going to be in the starting 5, I don't think. I think the question is what forward steps can they take to continue to improve in run blocking, so that way you aren't like your running game isn't like almost 100% reliant on having that F back there where you can have your 5 linemen and a tight end on the field and let that be the fuel for your running game and not, you don't have to supplement with 2 tight ends or an F back or whatever just to run the ball okay. They need to take that next step forward. Rocco does a good job of staying off his butt. For the most part, he does a really good job at avoiding sacks. They need to continue to do that so he doesn't have to scramble so much out of the pocket to avoid sacks, and he can start really tearing defenses apart from the pocket. But then in run blocking, it's been such an inconsistent group, really over the entire Matt Campbell era, to the point where you really need them to start taking steps forward, especially when you've got so many guys coming back, and you've got talent in the room. You've got some of your guys in the room. Brand Black's a junior. He should be looking like a junior. He should be looking like an upperclassman on the line that knows where he's got to be, that is in position. He's where he's got to be. Trevor Burr has been in the program for a few years now. He needs to stay healthy, but he also needs to be the guy that looks like he's been in the program for a few years. Tyler Miller was pretty good last year. He needs to be Iowa State's best lineman on that right tackle spot. And then James Neal, who would have started last season had Jalen Travis not transferred in, but he was a little inconsistent earlier in his career. He needs to look like an upperclassman on the offensive line. But I don't think this group is so much a position battle to find starters as it is to, now they're trying to gel. They're trying to get their chemistry down. They can really focus on, this is our group, and they can get better starting in camp rather than trying to find the guys in camp. So I think that's a bonus for Iowa State for sure.